Morning. It's Friday, March 5th, and I'm here to say kudos to the New York Public Library because they have told the public categorically that the 6 books associated with Dr. Suess will not be removed from their shelves because they don't censor books. And in my mind, that's the correct approach. There's too much sensitivity out there in the world right now, and that's causing us major problems. So what did these 6 books contain that was so awful? Let's review that. I wasn't able to get all the 6 images in the books, but I got 2 of them. And here's the first one, and this came from the book, If I Ran the Zoo. And as you can see, it shows 2 African characters. And I have to tell you that the representation of those characters is very racist. The second book, and to think I saw that on Mulberry Street, produced this image of a Chinese person, an Oriental person. And I did not think this image was as racist as the image portraying the African people. So based upon those 2 representations of the characters that Dr. Suess drew, I would say that the man had certain tendencies that we would prefer he didn't have. But I'll show you some things at the end of this rant, which are cartoons that he created during World War II, political cartoons. And they will give you a different picture, perhaps, of the man. But I don't want to really talk about Dr. Suess anymore. I want to talk about what's going on in our society right now and how everybody has to be represented by some form of diversity. Every time now that we have an official who is hired for a job, we get more than his qualifications, more than I think we need to know about anybody. I resent the fact that this guy is the first Native American to ever do this job, or this is the first Latino woman to ever do this job. I would be content to hear that this person has years of experience and that this is what she did in the workplace, or this is what she did at the educational level. Because to me, it doesn't matter what your color is, what your nationality is, what your ancestry is. To me, that's just side nonsense. To me, it's can you do the job? Are you the best person for the job? When we hired people in business, we didn't care what they looked like. We didn't care where they came from, where they grew up. We only cared about their experience at doing a job, and we cared about their educational level, and we cared about their personality. Because personality is very important when you're doing certain kinds of work. So that was a factor. Now, of course, your background could reflect on that factor, but you can't delve into those things and come up with the perfect solution. We had a gentleman that worked for us, a brilliant statistician, but he was fat and he was a slob. And so we kept him in the back office and we didn't let anybody see him. Because quite often he would wear the same tie for 3 or 4 days, or the same shirt for 3 or 4 days, complete with the food stains and everything. But he was a great statistician, and that was the important thing. And as long as we could keep him undercover, he was okay. So there are a lot of factors in the world that can upset people. And I think the public library is doing the proper thing. You don't censor books. And the Suess Corporation, if they don't want to print those 6 books anymore, that's their prerogative. Or they could print them and state, we apologize for the images that appear in this book, whatever. It's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag. And it's very difficult to decide what is the absolute right thing to do. But I'm against censorship of many kinds. And I'm against us going overboard with this diversity question. It's time that people recognize that we're really trying to give everybody a fair shot. And so if you're the best person for the job, you should get the job. I don't want to hear the things that I hear from New York City and their high school situation where the good schools, the special schools like Brooklyn Tech and Stuyvesant and Bronx High School of Science are lowering their standards because they need to have a diverse population. What we need to have is equal education for everybody. Everybody should have a shot at getting into those schools. People are upset because there are too many Asians in those schools. Well, maybe we should take a good hard look and wonder why there are too many Asians in those schools. Maybe they work harder than other people. Maybe their parental guidance is a step above the rest of us. We have to consider all of those things. And then we have to work toward correcting the situations that we are in right now. So that's what Dr. Suess's history has brought to the table. Times change. Views on things change. Hopefully we grow better, but I'm not always sure of that. I think in some situations in this country we've grown worse. Worse because of the proliferation of the extremists and the supremacists. But in any event, let me end it by showing you these 3 cartoons that I have selected from the ones I saw that Dr. Suess did during World War II and probably before World War II. So take a look at these. And the third one tells me an awful lot about Dr. Suess. Bye.